Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mindful Chats with Nicole. Today, we are joined by Ali Jenkins, the founder and recipe developer behind Sweetly Measured. Newly transplanted to Florida, Ali creates gluten-free and grain-free desserts that are both deeply nourishing and genuinely delicious. After testing positive for the celiac gene, she began reimagining classic baked treats using nutrient-dense ingredients, specialty flours, and less refined sugar, proving that gluten-free baking doesn't have to sacrifice flavor, texture, or joy. I can personally attest I've made so many of her recipes. I absolutely love them. So I'm so excited to have her here. Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you.
Welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, what first led you into gluten free baking, and how did your personal health journey shape the way you approach food today?
So as you kind of said, it started out with just, I had some symptoms, migraines and, GI symptoms, and then I gave up gluten, but I didn't really explore baking or recipe creation for a while. So that was in like 2012. And then after I had my first daughter in 2016, um, I had some postpartum health issues that I feel like were just more prominent, um, more autoimmune. And so I started just doing research around grain free paleo baking. And I was just very interested in that. But also, I just found myself tweaking the recipes all the time. And so it just sort of felt right and natural to just start like doing it myself. And I just got really excited about it. So, and I also just felt like, oh my gosh, this texture is, you can make so many different, recipes, and you can make the texture so much better if you use specialty flours. And then why wouldn't you? Because they also provide more nutrients. So, and fiber and things than just boring store bought
Yeah.
treats that are gluten free.
And for people who maybe don't know, what specialty flours might you be referencing?
So I would say the most common ones that you can readily find are almond flour, coconut flour, and cassava or tapioca starch. Those are kind of the ones I would recommend starting with just because they are easy to find and there's more recipes. But I would say it's starting to get more broad, and I'm experimenting with a lot of others just so I can try to provide more of a variety.
Okay. And when you tested positive for celiac, what surprised you most transitioning away from gluten?
I guess what surprised me most is how easy it was to actually just not, like, even if you can't find bread or whatever, which is pretty easy to find nowadays, even in Florida, more so in Colorado, but it's just you can just swap for other nourishing grains like rice and sweet potato and just so many other starches and carbs that you can find. So it didn't feel as hard as I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's like 20 years ago or maybe even more, it would have been a
Right.
bigger deal to try to find
For sure.
alternates. Yeah, it's so much easier now. So, you emphasize that gluten-free desserts can feel, still feel indulgent. So, what do you think people get wrong about healthy baking?
I just feel like they assume it's just like, I don't know, in my head it's like, oh, people are just eating like dates. Or like just like blending up dates and
Yeah.
then just like throwing chocolate on it. Just and sure, the date bark can be great, but you can mimic more of like just a bakery style dessert more than you would think. And so I feel like it just has a reputation for just being kind of like tasting healthy, right? And just tasting, and sure, like it's not as rot your teeth out sweet, which is kind of where I got to play around with sweetly measured because I feel like I try to play with that like just right, like not overly sweet
Mhm.
because I feel like your palate changes over time when you don't eat so much refined sugar. I'm sure
Absolutely.
you can attest to that.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like if you eat something that's really sweet, it's like, whoa. Once
Yeah,
you get it out of your system, you taste it. Yeah.
right,
No, it's very
right.
true. So, how did postpartum challenges change your relationship with food and like slowing down and nourishment? And I know for the viewers, you have three kids. So,
I do. I have three girls, so I feel like each girl, it's just sort of like um changed some ways harder, some ways easier just because I got better at it. But yeah, the first time was definitely the hardest as far as just like finding a way to nourish my body and also take care of a newborn and just being my first, right? Just getting all of that. But also, like, it was ironic because she had a milk allergy as a
Mhm.
baby. So when I was nursing, it was also the dairy aspect was kind of forced upon me. So I feel like I just slowly started realizing that just the intentional, I guess, the more mindful way of eating was more satisfying, even if it wasn't as like quick. And it also just, as my kids got older, I was like, wait, like I can also teach them. I can also give them the gift of nutrition and just
Mhm.
um, that I feel like I wouldn't have otherwise. So that's kind of opened my eyes to that, like just passing it on to
Yeah.
my children.
How old are they?
So I have the range. I have a almost 3 year old, and then almost 7 year old, and then a 9.5 year old.
So does do I mean, I guess the 7 and the 9, do they bake with you?
They do. I mean, even my youngest,
Yeah.
Salome, she is
So cute.
loves to just, I mean, it's such a mess, so I have to just, I mean, I feel like a lot of food creators feel the same way with kids. It's like, okay, because
Yeah.
you're so used to wanting it to look a certain way.
Right.
So I just take the pressure off, and we just,
Look at it
but
as
I
like a
just,
fun game, kind of.
yes, but I feel like involving your kids in any cooking, baking is just so important because it teaches them how to cook. So it's like a life skill.
Mhm.
And then it also just teaches them to um, appreciate it. Like they want to try new foods more if they are making it and they're involved with the process. Like
That makes
mushrooms,
sense.
like things that you wouldn't think they would try. We get them to try a lot of things.
That's a really
So
good tip for people listening because there's so many people complain about, like, very picky kids, and they can't get them to eat anything.
that could be a
A whole show.
whole nother tangent on picky eating, I'm sure. Yeah, there's so many more experts out there. But yeah,
Yeah, but it's a good tip. So,
thanks.
there's a lot of fear and restriction around food in the wellness space. How do you approach baking in a way that,
Totally.
feels supportive rather than stressful?
Well, I kind of shifted away as much as possible from just the words just healthy or um just anything that just is just borderline diet words just because I don't want it to seem like restrictive and just like superior. I want people to just feel like anybody's welcome and you don't have to do it perfectly.
Mm,
Um it's just so I try to use words like yeah, like not overly sweet or I try to, use the words that are accurate, like gluten free for sure. But like, I don't use dairy free as much because I do sometimes try to incorporate dairy. And I know that people have different needs and some people can tolerate dairy. And I just don't want to get so restrictive that people are intimidated or just that people feel like they can never, indulge in, say, they don't have a problem with gluten, they could never, eat a store bought cookie or a store bought gluten free cookie because that's not reality. Like
right.
even I do sometimes. Like if I want something quick, I'll get something from the coffee shop.
Sure.
And you just have to listen to your body. And I think that that's the most important thing. And if you start getting in the place of fear, and I've definitely been there, where you're so restricted and just so focused on doing it perfectly, then you're basically eating in fight or flight. And so you're going to feel horrible, right?
Mhm.
And so if you're more just, I feel like, just mindful about it, but not scared, because I think the fear puts people in a lot of dark places where it might not even be the food anymore. I mean,
Totally.
the nervous system
Totally.
work is
Yep.
is so important. It's not just the diet, and
Absolutely.
so
And it's
let's
gotten
have
to
fun
a
with it.
And it's really gotten to a place where I feel like so many people are walking around afraid to do anything because
It's yes,
it's almost like it's great that we have these platforms with social media, but it feels like on some levels everyone's trying to top the next person with what can we
my
tell
gosh,
people,
yes,
and then in what can we
yes,
tell people, they're scaring people. So it's like
exactly,
this thing to avoid, did you know? And now this thing. I mean, the other day I saw something about your sponges in your kitchen sink and how
great.
toxic they are. I was like, click out of this. I can't
I
listen
know
to this.
it's so much information and
Yeah.
yeah, it's exhausting. So I'm trying to be just more of like focused on more like just ingredients and like the science of texture
Mhm.
and enjoying the flavor without being too sweet, but not because I'm like, this is bad, like sugar's bad. That's not where I want to go. And so I'm really trying to stay because in my journey, I was in a place of fear and it
Yeah,
really started to become, I was like, why am I not feeling better? Like, I'm eating so restricted. Well, because I'm constantly scared. Like if I have one sip of this, and so it just your body starts to feed off of that. And I feel like that's so common
I love
with,
that.
with people with health issues that they get to a place where they're just yeah, in fight or flight. And you do the nervous system work. So
Yeah,
that's so important
so
to address
important.
too.
Yeah, 100%, because it's going right to your gut, it's affecting your hormones, like everything. The fear
Hmm.
around making a mistake or the fear around reacting is feeding issues. So
Exactly.
it's a good point. Yeah.
And you might be like avoiding if you have histamine issues, which I've dealt with too. You might be avoiding all those foods, but you're not just like realizing that it might just be the terrain that's like just inflamed, right? And so there's
Exactly.
just so many of those like restricted things I'm trying to avoid with my but gluten-free being that like yeah, a lot of people just have to, like they can't.
Right, right, but it's, like, within reason, like, everything within reason,
Right.
not making yourself crazy when you don't need to be, so
Right, exactly.
it makes sense, and I know baking can be so grounding. I know you have so many responsibilities in your life, so I don't know if baking
Hmm.
is as grounding for you as maybe people who can see it as more of an outlet, but
Sure.
do you see it as a form of nervous system support in your own
I
life?
do. I mean, I think it gets to a point where I just have to like let go of the cameras because as a form of income I do more of like the photography
Mhm.
styling and the video, and that becomes like super it can be stressful.
Yeah.
And so I try to just set aside time where I'm just baking for myself and my family and just like don't shoot the food, like just enjoy it. And like if there's time then great, but I just don't have as much time, so I just try to be intentional about when I'm doing work and when I'm just baking.
Yeah, it's like you have to separate that so you can have that
Yeah, I think
freedom.
that's important.
Yeah, that's a good point. And for someone who's new to gluten-free or grain-free baking, like what would be the easiest place to start without feeling overwhelmed?
I would say they could just, if they were coming to my page, they could look at some of the ingredient guides that I have because I feel like there's just the most used flours and I have the most used like baking fats and those kinds of things, and just like to understand like what you could have in your pantry. Um I just feel like when you lay it all out like that, it just doesn't feel so overwhelming because it doesn't have to be. So just maybe look over the guides and see, what makes sense for me. Like maybe pick up avocado oil and almond flour and just a few of those things listed, and then just start experimenting. Or there's just so many recipes out there.
Yeah.
Um, and I just feel like all those ingredients are so readily available now.
They are.
And I try to make more recipes that start simple, like for people who are overwhelmed, like a range of them. I'm trying to do more of that too.
Mhm.
So it's not just like super complex, like
Your
four type
recipes are
flours.
I find them really really easy to follow. I don't think they're, like,
Oh, good.
hard, you know? Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, for
But it
real.
can be if you're like, oh, I need all these ingredients. But even, I mean, my mom and her twin, they were like my first people, and they're not gluten free, and they bake my waffles every
Oh, I
weekend, and
love it.
they if they can do it, and they're
Yeah.
not like super tech savvy, if they can do it, then
Sure.
anyone can do it, and they don't
Sure.
even need to, but they just love it.
I love that. That's so cute.
So
You have a little fan
yeah,
club. I
it
love
is cute.
it. So, what is your process like for creating new recipes?
Well, I feel like it can be super random, and I feel like I have to be in the right mindset.
Mhm.
So if I'm not in the right mindset, I definitely have like a block, and I'll just bake something that I've already made. And sometimes from there I'll get inspiration, or I'll just like tweak it to make it better. And then if I am and I just am sometimes just sitting there and I just think of this idea, then it's just like it just pulls me in and I have to do it. It just usually comes, or if I see, I don't know, if I'm on Pinterest and I see something, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do something like this. Um, so that's kind of where I get my inspiration. And then as far as like the creation part, I feel like because once you get the formula down for like the ratios of fat to flour and eggs, like you just sort of it becomes easier to create each recipe because it isn't that different if you know like cookies are a certain way, cakes are a certain way.
Mhm.
So it's not super intimidating where I feel like I have to do it 10 times depending on what it is.
That's what I was gonna ask you, like, how many
Yeah.
trials do you usually do to create something?
I feel like it depends. Like if it's something really easy like cookies or um like quick breads, I feel like those are easier. But when it comes to, I mean, I've been trying to do a grain-free bread, like a sandwich bread, and I'm
Mm,
still experimenting with that. And cinnamon rolls took me a while to get, but yeah, it just I think if it's more complex, then it's
sure.
because that is hard to do yeast baking.
Yeah.
And I really want to try sourdough, by the way.
Oh gosh, it's like
I don't
everyone
know if you
it's like
have, but
no, and I want to,
gluten-free
but
sourdough.
I've heard the process is grueling. Like, but once you get it, it's
Okay.
great. Like, that's what everyone
And they have the
says.
starters that you can find online, so
Yeah. For
we'll
you, it would
see.
probably be easy.
I don't know. First, I'm gonna get that grain-free sandwich bread,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then but yeah, so I guess the answer is it really depends on the recipe, but I feel like for the most part, I it doesn't take me as many tries as you would think, like maybe 2 or 3 at most.
Wow.
Sometimes just 1, and then I test it again to be sure,
Mhm. How many
before.
recipes do you do, like, a week?
It kind of depends. I feel like I've slowed down a little bit with just, the move,
Yeah.
and so it depends, like, if I have more brands that I'm working for, then I have to set aside more time for that.
Mhm.
But if I had more time, I feel like I would do like 3 or 4 a week because
That's
if I
great.
had unlimited time. But I would say more like one every other week or one a week if I can. And then if I actually, when I actually have time to shoot the process, because I just love that part and it takes time.
Yeah,
I
of
don't like to take
course.
the shortcuts and I don't use my phone.
Mm,
I have a lighting kit. So yeah, so sometimes I just have a list of things I've created and tested that I haven't like written up. So yeah,
gotcha.
maybe like one a week,
That's still I mean, it's still impressive even at 1 a week, like, to be able
even if
to
it's not available yet.
no, but it's like to think of that, to go through the process, it's
Well,
like
thank you.
it's a lot, so I give you
I
credit.
appreciate it.
And what is like, one of your favorite recipes that you've ever made?
I would say like some of the first recipes that I ever made, my gluten-free waffles, grain-free. Um, and that is when I have like I kind of do a deconstructed recipe card now and people really like that because it's just laid out like what you need. And then if you want the all the further complicated instructions, written out instructions you can still find on my website. So my waffles, and they're just super easy. And they are so good. Like everybody loves them. And
Mm,
then my snickerdoodles, or just like my classic chocolate chip cookies that only require one flour. Like those are good
yeah,
too for people just starting out and just you can't get them wrong.
I love that. They all sound delicious. I know I've tried the snickerdoodles. I haven't tried the
Oh,
waffles, now
you
you're
have?
making
Okay.
me yeah, yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, I would definitely recommend that one
That's
because it's just
next.
easy and you can just keep the batter in the
Make them
fridge. That's
again.
what I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. And if someone is, hearing the term nourishing the body and brain, like, what does that mean to you in kind of a practical everyday?
I feel like it's just like we were talking about earlier, it's just such a all encompassing. It like doesn't mean just one thing. And it's just slowing down,
Mhm.
with eating, like just chew and take your time and don't run and I've been guilty of that with 3 kids, but just try
Mm,
to be mindful while you're eating. So nourishing your body, not with just like the ingredients, but also just like, slow down and actually enjoy it.
mhm.
Um, and then just, yeah, like it's super important to me to stay active and just be outside as much as I can. Um, yeah, just be kind to yourself, and self-care doesn't have to be a part of everybody's day. It can just be like a hot shower, right? Things like that.
Yeah.
So kind of all of that is sleep. It's you have to have the whole thing, but
Mhm.
um yeah, that's kind of what I think about, and just trying to just choose foods that will just love you back and like be, happy in your gut as much as possible. And, everybody has moments where they don't, and it's okay sometimes to do that
Mhm.
too. That's part of nourishing too, is just like,
Yes, not being perfect.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah, I hear you. And what is there a mindset shift that you would encourage people to consider or have if they've just started dealing with an autoimmune condition?
I would
Maybe like
say
a gentle
just,
one.
yeah, like don't get super pulled into the fear and super scary like laundry list of things you have to avoid and do to feel better. I would just say like take it one focus on like the most simple changes you can, like whether it just be to like try to prepare a few more berries or fruits in your fridge, because I feel like the autoimmune diet is just very much like as much diversity as possible.
Mhm.
And I would always feel like if I focus on what I can add in more so than like what I have to take out.
Yep. Mhm.
And like of course gluten being a huge thing for autoimmune and dairy, but aside from that, just like what can you add to your diet that's like a diverse range of whole foods rather than just like, oh, I have to give everything up. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I felt was easier.
Yeah. I do that with my clients too with nutrition, so
Okay.
I totally
I'm
relate to that.
sure.
I'm always like, "What can we
Yeah.
add in?" Because it gets overwhelming when people are like, "I can't have this, I
So
can't have
overwhelming.
that," you know?
Yes.
So
Exhausting.
and it's like what you said, there are so many options today. There
Yeah, and
really are.
everybody's different too. Like I feel like everybody's diverse in the individual in the way that
Mhm.
they um handle things. So you just have to experiment with your own journey.
Exactly. Yeah. And what do you do to stay in balance?
Well, I try to meal prep. I don't know if that counts, but just try to make it easier on myself through the week, just to
Mhm.
have things ready to grab. Um, I let myself grab a smoothie if I need to when I'm out and about because I'm commuting a lot now. Um, so like those kinds of foods that like you can get outside the house, let yourself do that sometimes. Yeah, I try to just make sure that I have an hour to myself every day. I don't stress about I don't let myself stress about having my blog or Instagram perfect. I just let it be. Like when I have time, I have time.
Mhm. I think it's good. It's
Otherwise,
like you
it
give yourself
ruins the
grace.
fun. Yeah, exactly. Give myself grace as a mom, as whatever, a food creator, photographer,
Yeah.
all the things, right?
Yeah. And you're doing great.
It's hard though.
No, but I mean, like, I can't, the amount that you are producing and doing is incredible, and you just moved. Like, it's a
Well, thank
lot.
you.
Yeah.
And I would say, don't try to be so um like obsessive or because that's easy for me to fall into that trap as just like my personality, like perfectionist. Just let
Yeah.
it be at your own pace. So I think that's so important in the food creation space because people just try to like go, go, go and compete. And it's just
Yeah. No, for sure. And that perfectionism is it's rampant. It's not just in that industry.
you're
So,
right, it is. And it's toxic, honestly.
yeah, it is because you'll never reach perfection. So you're always going to
No,
be criticizing. So it's,
exactly.
clearly not ideal. And where can listeners like find you, your recipes, follow along, all of that?
So I have a website, just sweetlymeasured.com. And then also my Instagram page is just sweetly measured. I have I think I have a Pinterest page, so just any like that same username across YouTube, um, TikTok, Instagram, and my website. I think that's the main. Those are the main places where you can find
Yeah,
recipes,
and there's plenty of content on Instagram that people
and I
can
try
start
to do
with.
that.
No, there's so much. So I definitely encourage
I'm
people to
glad.
do that. Yeah.
Thank you,
So thank you so much for sharing all this information. I feel like people
and
are going to
thank
be
you,
really inspired and, again, and I love the new name. I love Sweetly Measured. I think
thank you. Yeah,
it's great.
it sort of came to me, and it was just like, oh, this is it. This is right. I've been thinking about it for over a year now.
Yeah.
Just something that more resonates with what my niche is and how it's evolved. So
I
I'm
love
just
that.
honored that you invited me.
Yeah, no, it was great. Like I said, I followed your content. I've made your recipes, and like I always felt like it would be such great information for people to kind of hear from you
I
what's
appreciate
behind
it.
it and all that. So, and many can probably relate to having an autoimmune issue and
Sure.
having to
I feel like a lot of
change.
your clients and listeners probably do
Yeah,
struggle with those things. So,
for sure. And then again, the nervous system aspect too. So, yeah,
gosh,
I think
yes.
it's great. So, thank you so much for spending the time and
Thank you,
chatting. And
Nicole.
everybody, I really encourage you check out her Instagram, and
Thank
all
you.
of her information will also be in the bio and everything on the website. So, thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you everyone for listening, and have a beautiful day.